Welcome to another episode of World of Tanks with Ungainly Titan. We're here on Abbey, and I'm in the M4A2E4, the Ripper Sherman. It's a variation essentially of the Tier 5 Tech 3 Sherman, the stock version of the gun essentially, slightly more armour in the front than the regular Sherman. And kind of a weird custom paint job. I think I got it for free on some competition or other. Can't remember exactly the details at this point. It's essentially a Sherman, and it's got all the advantages of a Sherman, but it has a couple of biggest problem. Its biggest problem is the gun. The gun is really under par. It's essentially the stock gun as far as I can remember. It's the same as the stock gun of the M4 Sherman for the Tech 3. And while it has a high rate of fire, it has very poor characteristics otherwise. The penetration is poor, so you tend to find yourself using gold ammunition a lot if you want to do any damage. But the other gun handling characteristics are very poor as well. So you got high dispersion, slow muzzle velocity, so it arcs as it fires, and you have to give a considerable lead if you're firing to a moving target at any kind of range. And it has very poor penetration. You will see most of the downsides of the gun in this match. Now I have come here to the Cloisters area of the monastery, or the Abbey. And I come down this side of the Abbey just because I want to see what the enemy are doing. If they were anyway slow in leaving the cap circle, I might have caught sight of some of them as they were moving out to their positions, and I would have given my team a strong indication of where the enemy team was. We are able to use the rate of fire to put quite a bit of fire into the ram too, but we also will see the other problems with the gun. And I'm going to pull out of here because I'm lit up, and you know, I don't. It's a vulnerable enough position if you hang around too long, because there is no cover. And I want to move back up into the central square because it looks like the bulk of the enemy team have actually gone up the western side, and they have overwhelmed some of our defences. There's a couple of defending tanks remaining, but the high ground has been lost completely. That light tank is in the high ground behind the bulk of our team. So I'm putting some flanking fire in here, trying to get support from my teammates. There's an S35CA there, and I'm in front of me now. I'm not spotted. Oh, I'm spotted now. So I would have been better off, I think, firing from the other side of the Cloister. But I did make a mistake in that I put more faith in the rate of fire of this tank than I ought to have done so, given its poor characteristics otherwise. Particularly the high dispersion and low penetration, because, well, I'm aiming for the lower front plate of the tank. That's not necessarily what the shots are going to fall, or they're not even going to fall anywhere near it, given the relative inaccuracy at that range of this gun. Basically, I could hit the enemy tank, but I couldn't guarantee that I could hit him in any particular spot. And the game turned into a kind of a one-of-chicken between me and him, in that I was taking heavy damage and he was taking heavy damage. And he blinked first and backed out, so I was able to get the shot in and it finished him off. I would, though, in hindsight, have been better off engaging from back here rather than from the more forward location that I engaged from. I'd have been less likely to be spotted, and therefore much less likely to be hit, and I'd have probably taken less overall damage and had that little bit of reserve of hit points at the end of the game that would have might have got me out of trouble and enabled me to do a little bit more, or play a little more aggressively than I did. So that bit of carelessness was earlier on, where I stayed out in the open exchanging fire with the S35CA. It's left me with fairly few options now, so I need to be fairly careful putting fire out here through the arches at the end of the Cloister. I need to use the arches as cover as much as possible and stay out of detection range as much as possible, and shoot only when I kind of get the opportunity to shoot, preferably without attracting too much return fire. The enemy, if they manage to win the corner here, could still win the game even though they're outnumbered, because they're closer to the cap circle, shall we say, than we are. Although Abbey is a small enough map that you have to do these things pretty quickly, because it's very easy to get back to the cap circle. So we managed to take out one. We're putting it more rounds through here, and we're just keeping the angles very narrow and acute, so again, shooting back is going to be quite difficult through the arches. Initially I thought that medium tank was going to come down towards my position, and that the other, or my allied medium, was going to stay at the southern end of the village. However, when he went north to engage with him, I thought, right, I better go back to the arches because it's a better location for me. I'm going to be the more difficult target in many respects. There are going to be other tanks out in the open. They're going to be easier to shoot back at because the enemy team are pretty much outnumbered. This VKS 3001P is coming in around. Wants to try and take, I think, the flank of the defended position, but he's going to drive across my position to do it. And he's going to take quite a bit of fire from me, as well as putting himself under fire from a couple of tank destroyers to gain the position he's looking for. So he's coming around here. He wants to get around the flank of the tank destroyers. They're moving to adjust for his actions, and I managed to get a tracking shot there, which is very useful because he's fixated on those targets and not on me, and we managed to get rid of him. That's it. By the time he was gone there, the game was over. So in the final analysis, we got 56,000 credits. We did 1,400 damage, 1,464. And very slight assisted damage because of the position we were in. We weren't really in a spotting position for a lot of the tanks. We were actually one of the ones at the back shooting and relying on other people spotting. Did allow us to come first by experience. It took 15 penetrations to give us that level of damage, so that's mainly due to the rate of fire of the tank. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it interesting. If you did, please consider giving the video a like. If you have not already done so, please consider giving the channel a subscription. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will catch you all again soon.